Sita lived in a small village at the edge of a great forest. The village was peaceful, surrounded by trees and fields that stretched far beyond the eye could see. Sita was a gentle and hardworking girl. She would wake up early every morning, sweep the floor, help her grandmother cook, and take care of her younger brother, Raj. But lately, Sita had been sad. Her brother, Raj, had changed. He wasn't the same boy who had once smiled at her, played with her, or listened to her stories. Raj had become angry and distant. He would snap at her for no reason, push her away when she tried to talk to him, and often ignored her completely. Sita couldn't understand what had happened. She missed the boy who used to laugh with her, the boy who would run to her when he was scared. Now, she only saw the angry young man who had become cold and rude. She loved him so much. She wanted to help him, but no matter how hard she tried, Raj only grew further away. Maybe if I do more for him, he'll notice me again, she thought. So, Sita spent her days cooking his favorite meals, cleaning his room, and doing all the chores he had once shared with her. But nothing worked. Raj only became colder. At night, Sita would sit in the corner of their small house, thinking about what she could do. She missed her brother. She missed their closeness. She needed a way to bring him back. One afternoon, feeling hopeless, Sita decided to visit Grandmother Amma, who lived near the edge of the village. Amma was very old, but very wise. She knew a lot about the forest, the animals, and the ways of the world. People often came to her when they needed advice or help. Sita sat in front of Amma's small house, a humble cottage with vines growing up the walls. Amma was sitting outside, knitting a warm scarf. She looked up and smiled as Sita approached. "Hello, my dear," Amma said softly. "What brings you here today?" Sita sat down beside her grandmother, feeling the weight of her sadness. "It's Raj, Amma," she said. "He's angry with me. I don't know what to do. I try to help him, but he only pushes me away. I feel like I've lost him." Amma nodded slowly. She understood the pain in Sita's heart. She had seen it before. "I know how much you love him, my child," Amma said. "But sometimes the heart becomes lost, and the only way to bring it back is with patience and understanding." Sita looked at Amma, her eyes full of questions. "But how, Amma? How can I reach him?" Amma smiled gently and pointed towards the forest. "There is a wise elephant who lives in those woods. Many years ago, I was told that this elephant can help bring people back to themselves. If you want to help your brother, you must earn the elephant's gift." Sita was confused. "The elephant's gift?" Amma nodded. "Yes, the elephant's tusk. But it is not an easy gift to earn. You must be patient, kind, and brave, and you must learn to trust the elephant, just as you must learn to trust your brother." Sita wasn't sure what to think. An elephant in the forest? But Amma was wise. and Sita trusted her. "I'll do it," she said. "I'll go to the forest and earn the elephant's gift." The next morning, Sita woke up early, packed a small bundle of fruit, and set off toward the forest. Her heart was full of hope, but also a little fear. She had never been deep into the forest before. It was said to be magical, full of animals that were both kind and dangerous. But Sita was determined to try. As she walked along the narrow path, the air was cool and fresh. Birds chirped high in the trees, and the rustling of leaves underfoot was soothing. But Sita's mind was focused on the task ahead. She needed to find the elephant. After walking for hours, she finally reached the edge of a small clearing. There, standing like a giant statue in the center of the open space, was the elephant. It was enormous, with tusks that gleamed in the sunlight. The elephant looked peaceful, but its eyes were wary. Sita froze. The elephant's presence was both awe-inspiring and terrifying. She had never seen such a majestic animal before. The elephant turned its head and saw Sita. It raised its trunk and trumpeted loudly, a sound that made Sita jump back in fear. "Stay away," the elephant seemed to say. "I do not trust you." Sita stepped back, her heart pounding. She was afraid, but she remembered Amma's words. Patience, trust, love. Slowly, Sita put down the bundle of fruit she had brought. She stepped back carefully, watching the elephant. The elephant sniffed the air and eyed the fruit, but it did not approach. After a few moments, it turned and walked away into the forest. Sita was disappointed, but she did not give up. She returned to the clearing the next day with more fruit, and the day after that, and the day after that. Every day, she left the fruit on a large rock in the clearing and stepped back. Each day, the elephant watched from a distance. It took time, but slowly, it began to trust her presence. Days passed, and Sita continued to visit the clearing in the forest. Each morning, she would wake up early, pack her bundle of fruit, and make her way through the trees, careful to stay quiet and calm. She knew that the elephant was watching her, even if she couldn't always see it. The animal's huge, gray shape would sometimes appear behind the trees, observing her from afar. On the 7th day of her visits, something changed. Sita had learned to trust the elephant's movements, and the elephant, in turn, seemed to understand that Sita was not a threat. She had become patient, leaving the fruit and stepping back every time, never trying to rush the animal. That day, she arrived early, carrying her bundle of fruit. She placed it carefully on the large rock as usual, then took a few steps back. As she stood there, she saw the elephant move from behind the trees and approach the rock slowly, its large feet making no sound on the forest floor. Sita held her breath. The elephant sniffed the fruit, its long trunk curling around the pieces with caution. For the first time, the animal did not turn away immediately. It picked up one of the fruits and ate it, looking at Sita with curious eyes. Sita smiled softly, feeling a deep connection with the elephant. She took a step closer, but still kept a safe distance. The elephant watched her, and for a moment, it seemed to acknowledge her presence with a gentle wave of its trunk. "I'm not here to hurt you," Sita whispered to the elephant, though it couldn't understand her words. But somehow, it felt as though the elephant understood her heart. It took another step forward, then paused, still wary, but trusting enough to allow her to get a little closer. For the first time, Sita felt a glimmer of hope. She knew that the elephant's trust could not be rushed, and the work she had done to build a bond with it was beginning to show. The days grew warmer as Sita continued her visits to the forest. Every morning, she would go to the clearing, carrying fruit and waiting patiently. She had learned to be still, to listen to the sounds of the forest around her, and to trust the elephant as it grew more comfortable with her presence. It was the 10th day when the elephant finally made its move. Sita was sitting near the rock, watching the large animal eat the fruit she had left. She didn't approach, but she felt a sense of calm as she sat quietly in the presence of the great creature. The elephant seemed to acknowledge her with a soft rumble, its trunk swaying gently in the air. Then, without warning, the elephant lowered its massive head. It reached down with its trunk and carefully placed one of its tusks on the ground near Sita's feet. Sita's eyes widened. The tusk was large and gleaming, a symbol of the elephant's wisdom and strength. She knew that this was the gift Amma had spoken of. The tusk was a gift of trust, of patience, and of understanding. With trembling hands, Sita reached down and gently touched the tusk. She could feel the warmth of the elephant's gift, the strength behind it, and the tenderness it represented. The elephant stood still, watching her closely, as if waiting for her reaction. "Thank you," Sita whispered, her voice full of gratitude. She wasn't sure if the elephant could hear her, but she knew it understood the sincerity of her words. The elephant nodded slowly and then turned its great head toward the forest. With a final glance at Sita, it turned and walked back into the trees, disappearing into the shadows. Sita stood there for a long time, her heart full of emotion. She had earned the elephant's trust and received its gift. But more importantly, she had learned something about patience, about waiting for things to unfold in their own time, and about the power of kindness. She picked up the tusk carefully and started back toward the village, her heart lighter than it had been in weeks. When Sita arrived at Grandmother Amma's home, she was breathless with excitement. The tusk was heavy in her hands, and her heart beat fast with anticipation. Amma was sitting outside as usual, working on her knitting. When she saw Sita approaching, she smiled warmly. "You have it, don't you?" Amma said, her voice calm, but full of knowing. Sita nodded eagerly and held out the tusk. "I earned it, Amma. The elephant trusted me. It gave me this as a gift." Amma took the tusk gently in her hands, examining it with a wise and understanding gaze. "This is a beautiful gift, my dear. But remember, the tusk is not magic. It cannot change your brother's heart. It is the patience, the trust, and the kindness you showed the elephant that will help you change your brother's heart." Sita felt a wave of disappointment wash over her. "But Amma, I thought the tusk would help make Raj kind again." Amma smiled kindly, placing a hand on Sita's shoulder. "No magic can change a heart on its own. But the lessons you've learned from the elephant will help you with Raj. You must be patient with him, just as you were with the elephant. You must trust that, with time, his heart will soften. Love, my child, is the most powerful thing." Sita nodded slowly, understanding what Amma meant. She had already learned so much during her time in the forest. Patience, trust, and love were the keys to healing her brother's heart. And she was ready to try. Sita returned home that evening, the tusk wrapped carefully in cloth. Raj was sitting in their small house, staring out the window. He didn't look up when Sita entered. Sita took a deep breath and approached him slowly. "Raj," she said softly, "I need to talk to you." Raj didn't respond. He just stared out the window, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. Sita sat down next to him, placing the tusk on the floor between them. She didn't know what to say, but she knew she had to try. "Raj," she said again, "I've been worried about you. I miss the way we used to be. I miss laughing together, playing together. I know things haven't been easy, but I want you to know that I'm here. I care about you, and I want to help you." Raj turned to look at her, his eyes filled with frustration and sadness. "You don't understand, Sita," he said, his voice low. "You don't understand what I'm going through." Sita nodded, her heart aching. "I may not understand everything, Raj, but I do understand that you're not alone. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere." For a long moment, they sat in silence. Finally, Raj let out a long sigh and looked down at the tusk. "What's this?" he asked, his voice softening. "It's the gift of the elephant," Sita said quietly. "I went to the forest to find it. It's a symbol of patience, trust, and love. I'm giving it to you because I believe that you can find your way back to kindness." Raj stared at the tusk for a long time, then looked back at Sita. His face softened, and for the first time in months, he reached out and took her hand. "I'm sorry, Sita," he whispered. "I've been angry. I didn't know how to deal with everything, but I see now that you've always been there for me. I'm sorry I hurt you." Sita smiled, tears welling up in her eyes. "I'm just glad you're here with me now," she said softly. And just like that, the bond between them began to heal. Over time, Raj's heart softened. He started to talk to Sita again, slowly but surely. He apologized for the things he had said, and Sita forgave him without hesitation. They began to laugh and play together again, just like they had when they were younger. The village noticed the change and celebrated the reunion of the two siblings. Sita kept the tusk as a reminder of the patience and love that had helped heal Raj's heart. It stood in the corner of their home, a symbol of how trust and kindness could change even the hardest hearts. And so, Sita's journey came full circle. She had learned that sometimes healing takes time. Sometimes love means waiting, understanding, and trusting. And sometimes even the most difficult hearts can be healed, one small step at a time.